Your dog might be protecting you, but one of these signs means it thinks you're in danger. Some dogs stand between you and strangers. Some watch you while you sleep, and some react to things you don't even notice. The problem is, most dog owners completely misunderstand these behaviors. What looks normal to you might actually be protection. And if you want to understand what your dog is really trying to tell you, make sure to subscribe. We post new videos every week. If your dog does even 2 of these things, it means it's constantly watching over you. If your dog chooses to sleep near the door, that's not random. In the wild, dogs and wolves position themselves near entry points to detect movement, sound, and scent. It gives them the fastest reaction time if something changes. So when your dog sleeps near the door, it's placing itself between you and a potential threat, not because it's anxious, but because instinctively it's guarding the space. But some dogs don't just guard the room, they guard you directly. If your dog follows you from room to room, most people think it's just attachment, but behaviorally, this is called proximity monitoring. Dogs stay close to individuals they consider important, especially those they feel responsible for. In working breeds, this behavior was used for tracking and guarding. So when your dog follows you everywhere, it's not just because it loves you, it's because it wants to keep you within range. And this next behavior is even more intense, because it happens when you're most vulnerable. If your dog watches you while you sleep, that's not random behavior. In the wild, animals don't all fall into deep sleep at the same time. There's always at least one member of the group staying alert. This is called a sentinel behavior. Its role is simple: stay aware while others rest. So if your dog lifts its head at night, or keeps checking the room while you're asleep, it may be taking on that exact role. You're in your most vulnerable state. You can't hear, react, or respond, but your dog can. Dogs are also extremely sensitive to changes in breathing, movement, and sound. So even small shifts in your environment, something falling, a distant noise, a movement outside, can trigger that response. And here's what most people miss. This behavior isn't about anxiety, it's about responsibility. Your dog is not just resting near you, it's monitoring the environment around you. And sometimes, your dog doesn't just watch, it physically places itself between you and anything unfamiliar. If your dog steps between you and another person, most owners think it's jealousy. But in many cases, it's actually a positioning behavior. Dogs instinctively control space. They place themselves in areas where they can observe and react faster. So when your dog moves between you and someone else, it's not always emotional. It's strategic. This behavior is called blocking, and it's often seen in protective or working breeds. The dog creates a physical barrier, not aggressively, but intentionally. It keeps the unknown element in front of it, and you behind it. That way, if anything changes, it reacts first. You don't. And here's something important. A protective dog doesn't always look aggressive. Sometimes it's calm, still, focused. That's when it's most aware. But not all protective behavior is silent. Sometimes it's loud and very easy to misunderstand. When your dog barks at strangers, it's not always about fear or bad behavior. It's often a territorial alert response. Dogs are wired to detect changes in their environment, a new smell, a new sound, a new presence. And barking is one of the fastest ways to signal something is different. But here's the key difference. Reactive barking is chaotic. Protective barking is controlled. Your dog positions itself, faces the direction of the stimulus, and holds attention. It's not just noise, it's communication. And in many cases, it's directed at you. Your dog is saying, "Pay attention, something has changed." And most owners completely ignore it. But protection isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks calm and very close. If your dog sleeps on you, it's not just about comfort. It's about connection. Dogs rely heavily on physical contact to stay aware of their environment. When they're touching you, they can feel your breathing, your movement, even subtle changes in tension. This allows them to react faster. In a group setting, animals often stay in physical contact so they can respond instantly if something happens. So, when your dog sleeps on your chest, your legs, or right next to your body, it's placing itself in the closest possible position, not just to relax, but to stay connected and ready. But the last sign is the strongest one, and most people completely miss it. If your dog suddenly reacts to something you don't hear, that's one of the clearest signs of environmental awareness. Dogs can hear frequencies up to 4 times higher than humans. They detect subtle vibrations, distant movement, and quiet shifts in space. So when your dog suddenly stops, looks toward a direction, or changes posture, it's not random. It's responding to real input, even if you don't perceive it. And this is what makes dogs such effective protectors. They don't wait for danger to become obvious. They react before it reaches you. If your dog chooses to sleep near your head, that's not just about comfort. Your head is where your most important signals come from. Your breathing, your voice, your movement. Dogs rely heavily on these signals to understand what's happening around them. So when your dog positions itself near your head, it's placing itself in the most information-rich zone. This allows it to detect even the smallest changes. A shift in breathing, a sudden movement, a sound you might not even register. And here's what most people don't realize. This position gives your dog the fastest reaction time, not just to protect itself, but to react for you. Because from that position, it's always one step ahead. And the last behavior is the one that proves everything. If your dog reacts to your mood before you even show it, that's one of the strongest signs of awareness. Dogs don't just read behavior, they read energy, changes in posture, breathing patterns, tension in your body, even subtle shifts in your voice. So when your dog suddenly comes closer, sits next to you, or watches you more intensely, it may not be random. It may be responding to something internal, something you haven't even noticed yet. And this is what makes dogs different. They don't just protect your space, they protect your state. Not because they're trained to, but because they're deeply connected to you and constantly aware of what's changing. So when your dog does all these things, it's not just behavior, it's awareness, it's instinct. And more than that, it's responsibility. Your dog doesn't just live with you, it watches you, listens for things you can't hear, notices changes you don't feel, and reacts before you even realize something is wrong. Because to your dog, you're not just its owner, you're part of its world, and it takes that seriously. So, if your dog does even a few of these things, it means it truly cares about you, and it might be watching over you more than you think. Subscribe if you want to understand your dog better, because once you start noticing these signs, you'll never see your dog the same way again.